Alright guys, I'm going to show you guys how to rig one of the most effective and easiest lures out there for bass in the springtime. Specifically early spring when that water temperature is still really cold, but you do have days where the fish are moving up shallow looking for food and territory. So it's called a floating worm. The bags don't say floating worm even though that's what the lure is called. The bags say trick worm. I just like Zoom because that's what I've always grown up on, is Zoom floating worms. And you want to find a very light hook because you want this thing to, it's not going to float. We call it a floating worm, but it's not going to float. It's basically just going to sink super slow, and it's going to allow you to fish those really lethargic fish. And you want to get the lightest hook possible. So typically like 1 or 2/0 hook. This is a 2/0. You can see it's a very, very thin hook. There's not much gauge to it. And if you guys are just brand new to fishing, this is the symbol for 2/0. Yeah, see, 2/0. Sometimes they'll also have a numbering on them, but 2/0. If you don't know, you can just ask the guy working there, hey, I need 2/0 wide gap. I typically like wide gap for anything. There is a special kind of wide gap for worms, and it's not a deep U, it's just kind of a line across. I always recommend these. These are just so much better for bass in general. But rigging. Well, first off, you're going to tie it to your leader or whatever kind of line you got. And typically you want to use pretty light line, like 8-pound test. I wouldn't go above 10. You're going to have to fish this on a spinning reel because this is all there is. There's no weight to it. Yeah, so like 8-pound test is probably the best line to use. You're going to want to probably use a cinch knot on this or a clinch knot. Sometimes it's called a trilene knot too. And you're going to want to trim that tag real short to that eyelet, just because you'll tear up this thin worm if you got kind of a tag sticking out to the side. When a fish hits it and that hook kind of comes up and through the worm, if it's got a big tag sticking out, you'll kind of rip your worm and it's not nearly as good. So tie your knot. Then you're going to hold the worm by the head, and you're going to want it to look like this when it's all said and done. Something like that. That's what you're looking for. So let's see. Make sure to hit it really nice and straight. Try not to bend it coming out. On these Zoom worms, you can really see, I don't know if you can kind of see it. Yeah. The Zoom lettering on there, I like to come out just in front of that. Really, it's whatever will balance best when you see it fishing. It's the same thing with super flukes. Alright, so you're going to, let me go back. So you're going to feed it in like that and pop out like maybe an inch, 3/4 of an inch down. If you're using a Zoom worm, just in front of that Z that's right there. I don't know if that camera's picking it up. But yeah, the Z is like right, Z is right here on that Zoom worm. Come up and out. Feed her down through. You'll see me use this Texas rig quite a bit. Up and over the crook of the hook, a little bend there, and then once you get to that point, you're going to twist it. So you got that. Now you got the head end. See? And we're going to line it up to see where it needs to come out. It needs to come out right through here. Going to feed it in. Just like that, and then skin hook it. And all skin hooking is, if you guys are brand new to this, you're just going to kind of want the hook to barely be laying in there. You kind of want it to look like this when it's all said and done. That way when the fish bites down on it, it kind of releases real easy. You don't have to tear up your worm. And so what you're just going to do, just kind of pick that plastic forward, kind of lay it on that hook. So from a side view, it's going to look kind of like this. Kind of picking up and pushing on that hook. That's a skin hook. Just barely, let's see if you can get some good contrast here. Just barely in there. And that way when you're fishing it, fish comes to hit it, and it just pops right off. And your hook's exposed. What you're going to do, this is really weedless. You can go through all kinds of, you know, marshy kind of crap and not get hung up or caught on anything. And what you're just going to do to fish this, I'll make a video on this later, it's going to fish up like any kind of like stick bait or fluke, and that's about it. It's a real winner.